Today, we're joined by Mariana De Carli Orti.
Yes, so I am Brazilian,
Yes.
and that is a question I get a lot because my accent does not match any place in the world.
How many siblings do you have?
We're 9.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We're the original, huge family. Decided to retrain as a neuroscientist, which is the craziest thing I ever undertook. Finally, yes, the book came out last year. It's called The Night Sprint Crowd.
Yes.
Thank you very much. One of the coolest things is that in Saudi, it went to number 8 in the best-selling list.
Wow.
What's a 0-hour contract?
You would never become a permanent employee.
That would be so hard with it lingering on the back of your mind, knowing that this may be my last day, but then you want to put in those hours to make yourself look good to kind of keep your job as well.
So you work a full-time job.
Yes.
You are co-founding this conference. You're a writer. What does that look like?
With AI coming in, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more difficult as well.
You know why the dash is a big thing?
Why?
Because one of the training models is the Bible.
Oh my gosh.
And even AI, with AI coming in, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more difficult as well.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting other can of worms because Amazon, for example, if they find out there's AI in your book, you will be deplatformed.
Oh, wow.
And it's straight away, no questions asked, you won't be able to publish anymore. Cool. There is a second book coming this year.
Wow.
So it is a continuation of the original story. And yes, some of the beloved characters will be coming back.
When is the Writers Conference? When is that happening?
So it's on the 6th and 7th of February.
Oh, it's coming up. Oh
coming
my gosh,
up.
it's a busy time for you.
Yeah, very busy. It's 2 days over a weekend, and it's a chance for people to be kind of sequestered for 2 days and go through all of these things we talked about.
Today, we're joined by Mariana De Carli Orti, a Riyadh-based trade and commercial advisor and published author with a truly global background. She has built her career across international markets while living and working in Saudi Arabia, bringing together business, culture, storytelling. This girl has done it all.
In this episode, we talk about building a career as a woman in Saudi, navigating global work from Riyadh, and what success here really looks like.
And about how maybe moving to Riyadh is the place if you want to write a best-selling English fiction novel.
Let's dive into it.
Welcome to Inside Saudi, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we have heard about you. You work in a very serious role.
Yes.
But you also have written a book in Riyadh.
Correct.
You've co-founded the Writers of Riyadh. Is that what you...
The Riyadh Writers Conference.
Riyadh Writers Conference.
So that's in partnership with the Writers in Riyadh community.
Yeah.
Which is founded by one of my really good friends, Lubna Ahmed Haq.
Yeah.
We came together. So I own my own publishing house, SOKY World.
Yeah.
SOKY partnered with Writers in Riyadh to put together this very first Riyadh Writers Conference.
Wow,
Oh my goodness.
amazing.
Yeah.
And so let's take it back first. So that's kind of what you are doing now, very successful, doing a lot of things. But I was looking at your history and you have been all over the place. You grew up in Brazil.
Yes, so I am Brazilian,
Yes.
and that is a question I get a lot because my accent does not match any place in the world, and it goes back and forth. So just so everybody knows, yes, I code switch.
Yeah.
So I was born in Brazil, and I moved overseas with my parents when I was a kid. So I am the expat kid.
Yes.
And a lot of times, I can relate to what my friends' kids are going through because that was me once upon a time. Wow. I moved to the US when I was a kid. I grew up in Miami for part of my life, and then I moved to London to finish my studies and lived in London for a very long time. Been in the Middle East for quite a while, and I do have family all over the world. My family's moved from the furthest places. And we're a really big family as well. So literally have siblings everywhere.
Oh my gosh. How many siblings do you have?
We're 9.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We're the original huge family.
Wow.
It's so funny. So you say that I'm the expat kid, because I wonder what are my kids' accents going to be? That's a weird question I have because my daughter grew up in the UK, whatever. She has a British accent for now, but I feel like it's going to change. And then listening to you, you sound a little bit North American, and then I hear some British in there,
Then a bit of European, and then I spend the whole time talking to Kiwis, and I have family also in New Zealand, so everybody is all over the place. That happens, yeah. So it's probably gonna be a little bit like that, and there's more of us than you think. So there's an actress, she did the Queen's Gambit, I forgot her name. And
yes, I know the one.
she's got a really funky accent 'cause she's similar. She's like from Argentina, grew up in the UK, grew into the US, and I was like, yeah, I can so relate.
Yeah.
That's exactly me.
Yeah, you get
It's a
it.
nice accent though.
Thank you very much. But sometimes, you know, with the auto captions, it actually struggles.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for it to like, sometimes it gets like something really, really wrong. But
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you went to King's College?
Yes, I did in London. Yeah.
And you were in London for how long?
Almost 10 years. So
Yeah.
I was there for a while. And I'm still technically at King's because I've gone back to do another degree and I decided to retrain as a neuroscientist, which is the
Wow.
craziest thing I ever undertook. But
Yeah.
so that's been ongoing for the last few years. And hopefully I graduate this year as a neuroscientist,
So-
master's in applied neuroscience.
Oh my gosh. Are you doing it online?
Yes, I'm doing it online,
Yeah.
but it's like live with King's, and King's is my alma mater, so it's like I was there for so many years on campus. I have all these great memories.
Yeah.
and it's just really amazing to, in a way, be back. And
Yeah.
I go back for conferences and things like that.
Okay. So, but your original degree was in
Modern languages or linguistics, yeah, essentially. So as
Yeah.
someone who grew up all over the place,
Yeah.
it was a strong suit. I went with the easy one.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love languages, love
Yeah.
new cultures. It was always like a passion for me.
Yeah.
And then I did a graduate degree in law. I worked in a law firm for many years in the
Okay.
UK. And my job was always related to, again, talking to people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
It was very much international law. So it was useful to have languages. And I co-founded a company at the time.
Yeah.
Went into e-commerce, fashion retail for a very long time.
Okay.
And then after selling that, I came to the Middle East, basically.
So how long have you been in the Middle East then?
It's coming to my 11th year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And what made you want to move from London to the Middle East? Do you have family here, or was it just opportunity?
A mix of things. I do have like some relatives from the region
Yeah.
that I wasn't necessarily close to, but I was always curious. I studied Arabic as a foreign language at uni.
Yeah.
And I was very bad at it at the time. Because I thought it was going to be easier because I was like, oh, I've got loads of friends. I've got loads of Saudi friends from uni. So my best friends in uni were Saudis and Emiratis. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be a walk in the park. And then I realized my friends all grew up in international schools and could not help me as much as I thought.
Really?
But they really sold a beautiful picture of the Middle East. So it was kind of there in the background of like, this is where I'm going to end up. And I kept in touch, and it was a really easy transition because I felt like when I landed at home, because I've got
Yeah.
all these friends who are here and I've known them for 20 years.
So because London has such a big, like so many, like I feel like Saudis kind of like always, they're either in London or they're in wherever they are, like Riyadh,
Yeah.
whatever. Now that I've been back to London, I realize that. And I see so much stuff marketed to, it's like, there's like the Diriyah something there,
Yeah.
I see so much stuff now, and like any good coffee shop, I'm like, okay, where are all the Saudis? Like in London,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Especially in my area, like I lived in probably the most like Khaliji area of London.
Khaliji area, okay.
Yeah, so because I lived in Knightsbridge.
Yes.
But it was really cool because like I've been friends with some of these people for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
One of them is my next door neighbor in Saudi.
They love to travel to London. A lot of the locals we speak to, they're like, oh, we just went to London for the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah, we're like,
their go-to.
Yeah.
We're like, where do you shop? Where do you get your nice clothes? They're like, London.
London.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So you made friends. And so what did they say about Saudi, the Middle East? Like, what are the areas they were like, oh, you have to visit here? Like, what made you want to come here from what your friends said?
Yeah, I mean, like I've got friends from especially from uni days, like from all over. So from Saudi, Kuwait, Emirates, and I think and of course like wider Levant region. But one of the big things, it was always like that they always like made me feel like part of the family. And I think like coming from South America, I can really relate to that. Like
Yes.
when I was at uni, I lived with my parents. They were living in London as well, and it was just so similar. So yeah, we definitely got on, and it was. All those things were really attractive. I really wanted to explore more, like in terms of like heritage, and I've got cousins who are Lebanese and things like that. So I was like, I really want to travel the region. I want to see, discover, like eat the good food, see the sights, all that kind of stuff. So it was a huge part of me feeling connected to the region, but at the same time, the job opportunities were better. So I graduated like in the middle of the financial crisis that took over the world. So I had to start a business, and we had to be really resilient in the UK because of everything that was going on at the time. And I think I was really reassured when I got a job offer to move out to Dubai. It was just infinitely better than what was available in market, and it just made all the sense. And then like I felt like when I moved, I instantly had this upgrade of lifestyle just because you could afford much more, you could get better quality of living, and it made a difference. And I got so used to it that it's just like now my brain's wired differently. Like there's a lot of self-care that takes priority over like long hours. I can tell you that. And that wasn't the case. Like, when I lived in London, I definitely was a bit overwhelmed, overworked. I was all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So you moved to Dubai when did you move there? What year?
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So that was still like quite early, like for Dubai even. I guess that was when people were starting to head out there, but
No, it was actually pretty developed because there was a lot of construction that had already finished. But I moved before there was the kind of the later boom of people coming out of, I guess, tax situations and things that's happened more recently. But at the time, I worked for a British company there, and loads of people were moving across, regularly because they were looking for those same opportunities. The contracts were pretty vicious at the time in London just because everyone was working these 0-hour contracts, and it was really...
What's a 0-hour contract?
It was, I think that's what it's called officially, but it was basically you would never become a permanent employee.
Wow.
You would work like no extra pay for any extra hours you did. And you always had this like looming reality above your shoulder that you could be let go with 2 weeks notice.
Oh my gosh.
And it was pretty, so if you were a young person, like, and you were really working your, hard hours, you were doing all this extra to just get like your manager to notice that you were worth being there. And if you didn't do that, there are 50 people waiting for your job.
And this is in law?
Just general, this was how it was.
In London?
In London, at the time, whether you were in law or marketing, I guess there were exceptions for certain industries, but I saw it with my friends who were bankers. So, there was definitely a hustle culture that was really ingrained, and it was like, oh, you're taking lunch? Like you're a slacker.
Oh my God.
And that would be so hard with it lingering on the back of your mind, knowing that this may be my last day, but then you want to put in those hours to make yourself look good, to kind of keep your job as well. So
yeah, and I definitely had like moments where I was like, is this really what I want to be doing? So if it didn't feel healthy. So I was definitely looking for a healthier way of working, living, etc. when I moved.
Yeah. And then did you find that in Dubai? What was the difference in work culture there?
No, I definitely did. And I mean, just the fact that like I had a gym in my building, I know it sounds silly, but I moved at a time where this wasn't a thing in London. Like, I mean, unless you were very, very rich.
Yeah.
So it was just cool to have like, to be able to do that and to like have a 1-hour lunch break that was respected. I was like, this is great. I was like, I can go down, have like my nice lunch and chat with my colleagues. And it just was a different environment. So I definitely found that. And I think I also had a great opportunity with working in Dubai to travel the region. I did a lot of work in Egypt, which is a place that I absolutely love.
Really?
Just absolutely love work. Like all the work I did in Egypt was really cool. It was really magical. I was talking to a colleague just this week. How it was like the first time I think I saw the Nile, I got a bit emotional.
First time you saw the what? The Nile.
The Nile, yeah. So it was one of those things that was like, you've heard so much about it and then you're there and it's like millions of years old. I don't know. It was really emotional. So for me, all these travel experiences were really magical and being able to meet people from different cultures, just really, really, really cool.
And then when did you make the move from Dubai to Riyadh?
So 2020, and it was, COVID year, which was a big time to move.
Yes.
But it just felt like the right thing. Things were wrapping up in Dubai for various reasons. And an opportunity came up both for me and my husband to move across. We didn't hesitate for a second. We had friends here. We had been here for work, and we've always had like the warm Saudi hospitality. So it was definitely like a selling point. We called our friends and, they were like, yeah, definitely come.
Yeah.
We came in 2020 and it's been really, really good since then.
And so you came, was it hard coming in COVID? I feel like we've talked to a few people and we've heard a few people who have come in that time. There must have been, I guess, some push for people to move here. I guess some wave of jobs in 2020, something.
I don't know because we have very specific jobs that are very technical. So I'm not sure about other industries.
Yeah.
What I did feel was it was a time when, things were obviously closed because of lockdowns and things of the sort. So, it was a very different way to live regardless of where you lived in the world, because I think this was just an odd time to be alive was COVID. But after that, it very quickly started to peel back. I think in Saudi, probably quicker than other places.
Yeah.
And we were really appreciative of the space. So when we moved into a villa, and we had, and particularly during COVID, where you couldn't go to loads of places, having space was currency. So it was really good. So we set up like a home gym, that's why we had kind of like a soft landing. We set up like just space to be able to work from home peacefully. So it was really nice. I have good memories.
Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to know, like, so what has been the difference in work culture between, obviously, London, there's Dubai, and then there's Riyadh? Like, are there big differences, obviously, between London and the Middle East, but what about between Dubai and Riyadh?
In my experience, it's been actually quite similar skills that I've needed to hone in on. So it hasn't been a tremendous change.
Yeah.
I think that what can change is whether you work for private sector, public sector, things like that, which is it's a personal change I went through.
Yeah.
But apart from that, that's kind of case by case, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it depends on who do you come across working with and who offers you the job in Saudi.
That's true.
And a lot of people I also see changed industries when they moved across. I think there were just opportunities for that kind of flexibility.
Yes.
Particularly in 2020, where people may have worked in something slightly different, and then they may have noticed a more pronounced change if they changed sectors.
Yeah. And so you've obviously changed you've changed kind of sectors a lot. Like you said, you studied law.
Yeah.
Then you were working. What were you working in London?
In a law office,
In law
international office.
And then in Dubai.
And I also had my own business before in e-commerce and retail. So yeah, I change complete ideas every few years.
Yeah.
People who believe in horoscope will blame it on me being a Gemini.
Okay. Two personalities.
I don't know if that's true, but I have a lot of interest and a lot of curiosity for things, and I think that that comes in handy, to just try the different things, and that like the book is exactly that. So it's something that's been in the back of my mind. I've always wanted to do it, and then I've just decided to do it when I was here. And same thing with the studies is like I always wanted to study other things, and there was just the perfect opportunity while I was here. And it doesn't mean that necessarily I'm changing all my career plans, but it's good knowledge to understand how people think, like human behavior,
Yeah. So you came here, you're obviously working here, and then because you mentioned a book. So you end up starting like this writing journey. You mentioned at the beginning, you're the co-founder of the Writers Conference.
Yes.
So how does this all start?
So the first few months of being here, I joined a creative community, which is run by my good friend, Brandy Janot. So she runs Kingdom Creatives. And someone posted in the group, which turned out to be Lubna. Anyone here a writer interested in having coffee and, meeting up for talk about books and authorship and things like that. So I have been writing, not professionally necessarily, since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I have had columns. So I've been a columnist before in different newspapers, and every opportunity I had to do something on the side that involved writing, I've done that. And I've also been head of content before. So writing's always been part of my story, and at times it's been part of my work. And I was like, well, this is, the perfect opportunity to kind of meet up with people and see where it goes. I didn't have a plan. For years, people had been saying, like, you need to get some of these stories you keep telling people into a book because it would be really entertaining. So when I met Lubna and her friends that she brought together for this coffee, they were really, really interesting people in different parts of the writing journey. So they were best-selling authors, and there were people there like me who were just kind of toying with the idea. And what happened through her community is that she kind of brought those people together. We started getting some mentorship from the best-selling authors who really were encouraging and saying, there is a story there, but, you just get into the craft side of it. And so the community has loads of workshops, which is really cool. So people volunteer to teach things that they've learned around their journey. And that's been really instrumental. I decided, like, you know what, I am going to do this. Can overcome that imposter syndrome that every author has of like, nobody's going to read my book. And so, it started like that. And it was just so great to have a community around me of people who were encouraging, like, hyping me up and saying, yes, go for this. It's going to happen. And then that's how it all kickstarted.
Yeah.
In the process, I, picked up all the books that teach you real craft, and there's loads of them that are really good. Did a couple of courses on creative writing because I was like, I don't want to put something out there that I'm embarrassed. Recruited some of the people in the group to help me with editing and with, beta reading, all that kind of stuff. And finally, yes, the book came out last year. It's called The Knightsbridge Crowd.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And one of the coolest things is that in Saudi, it went to number 8 on the best-selling list.
Wow.
That's
And it's
insane.
an English language book, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool because it's never been translated yet. It will
Yeah.
be translated at some point. But it got so much love in Saudi. And I think that was just really special. I don't think it could have happened anywhere else, you know?
That's wild. Like, why do you think that happened? Like, why did an English selling book go on the best selling list in Saudi?
I think it's a couple of things. Like I obviously was very active with the community. So I think there was a lot of word of mouth where it spread. I was really fortunate that I was supported by the book club. For example, AlUla's book club, biggest book club in Saudi. They put out an article about the book. And there was a lot of appreciation for the fact that there is a character in the book who is Saudi. He's a really special character because I think he portrays what I see my friends as rather than some more the more typical depictions, and he has a lot of humor. He's a very multi-dimensional person and a real person. He's not inspired by a single real person, but there's a lot of reality to his character. And I've seen a lot of the comments on Amazon or in the articles talking about that, about he feels like an authentic person who could exist, not just exist in fantasy. So it's a fictional book, but it's a contemporary fiction, so there's no dragons or anything. It's a story about friends who live in Knightsbridge in London, and it's a story about power and influence and how a lot of times when nobody's watching, when people think nobody's watching, people get up to really bad things and continuously kind of push their own boundaries and their morality to get further and further in life. So it's really about questioning whether you do the same or you would do differently to these characters. And I think people really enjoy that part, that it could really relate to anybody. You don't have to have lived in Knightsbridge to relate to the characters. Although that is kind of the backdrop of the story. It's kind of a character of its own as well.
That's so crazy. I guess, I can see how, because I bet obviously Saudis don't always see themselves reflected maybe how they want to be in books like that, kind of just amidst a group of characters. I can see how it did do super well if they're I can relate to that character.
Yeah, so I think that's a part of it, and I think it wouldn't have been realistic to write a book in Knightsbridge without having a lead character, because that would have been ridiculous. Yet a lot of stories miss the mark, and you see a lot of books and they just have one type of person represented throughout, even though it's an extremely multicultural area. With all its stories, complexities, side stories. And there's a lot of speculation about another character that's not really a main character, but everyone wants him to come back in the second book and have a bigger story. So
what's that character?
He's the cousin of. So Mansoor is one of the main characters, and he has a cousin called Fahad, and everyone's Fahad deserves his own standalone.
So are you planning a second book? Or?
There is a second book coming this year. So it is a continuation of the original story, and yes, some of the beloved characters will be coming back. And we'll see how that goes. I can't share too many spoilers, but it is a continuation of the story. So you have to have read book 1 to get book 2.
So you work a full-time job.
Yes.
You are co-founding this conference. You're a writer. What does that look like? I'm just interested. What does your schedule look like?
How do you fit it all in?
I don't need a lot of hours of sleep. I think that's a big thing.
How many hours of sleep do you have?
Probably 6.
Okay.
I don't think I can do more than that.
I feel in Saudi you sleep less.
No, some people sleep a lot, but I feel lethargic if I go over that, to be honest. I know it's probably some doctors listening saying that's not good, but it is what it is. Probably 5.5 to 6 hours. But I feel it's possible to do if you I'm a hyper organized person, I think probably to an obsessive degree, because I like to have timing planned out, spreadsheets, all these things. So I think that does help. I set time aside. I also, one of the things I was talking recently about with some of my colleagues is with writing, I am a fast writer. So that's just something that I guess is innate. But I also take specific time off. I take leave to write. Where I'll just sit, enjoy a nice coffee in a beautiful location and write. And I think that's helpful as well. I find start and stop when it comes to side activities is actually not great. time management. I don't know,
So,
controversial.
wait, say that again. Start and stop.
Like start and stop in terms of like if you've got like loads of side activities and you're doing like 1 hour of each, I actually think that's bad. Like it's not a great way to organize your time. I think it's better to have like blocks of
It makes sense.
Of
Definitely
time.
makes sense.
so that's something like I think like I don't know if I hacked this or if it's just something that works for me, but usually like so for example if we do like all the conference stuff, I take up the weekend doing a lot of that because then I can just do it for several hours rather than like 2 hours, and I find that that's very distracting and then you end up getting overwhelmed. So you've got to manage what works in terms of timing, but then also leave some time for yourself.
And do you ever get sidetracked? Like, you block this time out and you're like, oh, but maybe I could do something else. Like, does your mind ever play games with you?
Well, with writing, not really, because I feel like writing is a big outlet for me as well. So it is in a way like self-care, because I feel like if I don't get the stories out, they're bubbling.
Yeah.
And then it bothers me. And I've been in situations where like I'm literally like on a plane and it's just like, I just figured out what I'm going to do with this character. Yeah. Take out the phone, let's write this up, and I'll just write it on my notes and then
that's awesome.
Put it into the computer afterwards.
I relate to that, but not on I relate to that in like a social media. I'm like, oh, I have this idea. And then I'm like, I have to write it in my notes at least so I don't forget it. Cause I forget things. So as soon as they enter my head, if I don't do something with it, I forget it.
Yeah.
And so I have so many like notes of like ideas, things. And then, but yeah, I find it an interesting topic because I think Riyadh there's so much opportunity here and it's almost overwhelming. Like you're like, there's so many ideas of things you want to do and then trying to find the right time to do it. And then you're like, just constantly getting sidetracked and
so many events to go to.
So many events to go to.
We get sidetracked a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's important to get out there. I'm an anti-hermit, by the way. So people make fun of me because they're like I'm just a guest in my own house.
Yeah.
Because I'm always on the move. I really enjoy going out, and that's always been the case. My biggest challenge with staying fit is not eating out. Because I love trying restaurants. I love going to cafes.
Totally.
Like that's just
100%.
Yeah.
That's how sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to go try that. But I'm like, is there a healthy option? But then that's not a good option. And it's like,
this is like my biggest challenge. Although I've been pretty good. I've lost a lot of weight this year. So I've been pretty good with like trying to impose him going to take food with me. But no, I'm, for me, like socializing is also a big part of like mental health and like being, with my friends, with going out with my husband. These are really important bits,
100%.
So there is a balancing act. And I also think like one of the most important things is like if it gets overwhelming, like knowing to take a step back. And I've had to do that loads of times, even with the book. Like I messaged my editor and I'm like, it's not going to happen this week for me because it's just not possible. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to lose their mind over 1 week delay on editing and make it up later. So it's all those things I think you need to also know when to say, this is too much.
Like those boundaries, having the boundaries.
With yourself.
Yes.
Because at least I can tell you, like with me, sometimes I'm like the biggest person who feels like I'm having constant FOMO. So I need to be doing something all the time. And it's one of those things where I was like, no, I can just relax today. Like I can take a day off.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, but it's kind of magical because when I was in London or like the UK in general, first of all, socializing didn't feel like, so it just wasn't at the forefront.
Yeah.
And second of all, it just didn't feel like all these opportunities felt like they could become something. But in Riyadh, there's so many events, as you say, it's so much more of a socializing culture. And it's nice. Like, it's nice to have that cup filled again here, but it does mean that, like, I feel like taking a day off is like, I don't know, it doesn't happen that often.
But it's important. And this thing, like what I do travel a lot as well. Like I take up all my leave. Like I don't leave on the table.
No.
Because I think it's important to get that time. And that doesn't mean necessarily travel. It's like, travel outside the country. I mean, I travel in Saudi as well. I go a lot to AlUla, for example. I love AlUla.
Wow.
That's like my spot to relax.
Really?
And that's probably the place I've done most writing.
Ooh, that's your writer's retreat.
That's my writer's retreat, is just being there like with a coffee outside, just
really.
I can get so much work done there. It's actually ridiculous.
We gotta go.
Yeah. Any recommendations?
Yes, I actually feel like I'm at this point I'm confident that I can give good tips about AlUla. Always check like the seasonal pop-ups. That's my biggest thing because you can catch some really amazing things. There's also like restaurants that exist there that, you know, all year round. They're not expensive. They're really good. Like the local restaurants. Like this is one of my favorites is Asturi. It's got my favorite shawarma, I think, probably in Saudi. It's really good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's just, and it's got merch. Like a restaurant that has merch is
Wow,
always cool.
we love merch.
Yeah, you can just like, you can sense that there's like a bit of a cult following
Yeah.
there. Every time I go to AlUla as well, I take advantage, go to like all the, like the local beauty salon there.
Yeah.
I've got my girls who do like,
Really?
yeah, and it's really well priced. It's really nice.
So it's very well, because Riyadh can be very expensive for.
It's a fraction of
Yeah.
the cost, but really lovely servers.
Okay.
And yeah, I think like there's just so much to do. Like it's good massage places that you can. So if you wanted to do like a full wellness retreat there of like fitness, massage salon, you know, get some bits done, you can really relax. Like
It's
you
a
can
good place.
completely disconnect.
I feel like we need to get our road trip on the cards.
No, it's fun. And I think there are a lot of spots as well that people don't know of, you know, because everyone goes to like Elephant Rock, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then there's like Rainbow Rock,
Oh, wow.
which nobody goes. And when I was in
What's that?
Rainbow Rock, we were the only people there. And there's so many
Magical.
formations that
Yeah.
are like, there's, you know, completely like just empty. And it's amazing because you can have a real moment of reflection when it's that quiet.
And
Yeah.
I guess because it's more touristy, it will kind of feel like that. Like,
Yeah, so the hot spots are pretty busy, but then like for example the library there, again, as a book person,
Yeah.
I go to libraries. The public library in AlUla is one of the most beautiful places you can go. It's got this it's like an old house that's been fit to become a library. It's got copies of all the books that you can imagine.
Really?
And you can just sit there, have a coffee, read your book in peace, and it's got all this kind of half in, half out, like, you know, light shining through.
Wow.
It's stunning.
Do you read Arabic, or do they have English books there as well?
They do have English books there.
Yeah.
I can read Arabic, not fluently.
Yeah.
So I can make out things, but I should probably be practicing more. And I love the language, so I need to become, my goal is to become fluent so that I can read my friends' books in the original language. That is a goal I have personally set.
Yeah. How many languages do you speak?
So I speak 5.
Yeah.
And Arabic is like the coming to 6th
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh my gosh.
What languages?
So I speak English, Portuguese is my native language, Spanish, and I'm married to a Spaniard, so we speak a lot of Spanish at home. I speak some French. I went to French school in the US, and Italian. My dad's Italian, so that's how that came to be.
That's crazy.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of interested in like you said you studied so many books on creative writing,
Yes.
all this stuff. Like what are the things that you kind of gathered to help you write your book?
Yeah, so one of the things I realized very quickly into my research is that most bestsellers follow a particular way that it's written, particular beats and particular storyline. And that's inspired by the kind of the Hollywood storytelling structure. I'm talking about contemporary novels. I'm not talking about like the classics and things.
Yeah.
So there is a really great resource called Save the Cat. And it's based on the fact that all these movies from the 80s, there's always saving of a cat at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So the screenwriter who did all these amazing movies, like all the Ridley Scott movies, all this stuff, he made a resource back in the day for screenwriters into Hollywood. And then it was readapted for novels.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of people use to write their novels. And this, you know, applies to several of the bestsellers that you would have seen.
Yeah.
And when you read that, it gives you a bit of like a blueprint of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Of course, there's room for innovation and creativity, but it's just the pace and how things unfold and the level of complexity you should go into. If you follow that blueprint, you've got a good starting point so that you're not completely lost. And I think a lot of times when people don't end up writing stories that they have, it's because they can't figure out where to start or how to plot or all these things. Whereas like these kind of resources, it will ask you questions that if you answer, then you've got a character brewing or you've got a story that's coming to fruition. And one of the other things is you can actually get on Amazon, like easily, writing journals that use this methodology that have like fill in the blanks where you can start filling in your story, and it makes it so much easier.
So
for
it's
you
like
to
a step by step.
a step by step.
Wow.
So you still need to come up with everything that's
Yeah.
going to be in it, and this is across different genres. It works for different people, but you can buy these journals and you can really track your progress, and that really helps for you to visualize and not get lost and just think that you're just going to sit down and write 100,000 words, which is pretty difficult. I mean, absolutely. Several books down the line, you may be able to do that. But when you're starting off, having these visual guides really helps. And even people like Stephen King's written a How to Write book for aspiring authors within obviously his genre of horror and suspense. But you can actually find loads of these resources in Saudi, and you can just buy them on Amazon. Yeah,
That's crazy. And then that's kind of inspiring too. Like, and it just almost makes it like, it seems like this big thing, like writing a book. That's like, but it just makes it more approachable.
And it also sounds scary when you think about it. You're like, oh my God, I need to write a book. Like you said, where do I start? What do I do? And you kind of get confused. And then, for some people, it would kind of be like, yep, I don't want to do it because it's too hard.
For most people, they get put off by not understanding that there are resources, and you can actually do courses as well. I know that the here in Saudi there are options that are for free that are run by the Ministry of Culture. There are workshops by the writers in Riyadh, for example, that you can come to if you wanted to start, learning a bit more about craft. And they vary. They can be things like world building to editing, everything in between. Yeah. And a lot of these resources are free, so you can do that. And you can also pay someone, they're writing mentors and paid people who will walk you through the process. But I think the most important thing is, like, if you have an idea for a story, you can rely on these. And you obviously, with like anything in life, you get better the more you do it. So it does become easier. And one of the biggest things that has happened, and this is something we are going to be discussing extensively in the conference, is that much like social media has disrupted everything, the publishing world has also been disrupted by new technology. So it's a lot easier for you to publish now than it was several years ago, where you had gatekeeping. And it was very similar to traditional media versus social media. So you've got traditional publishing, and now you have indie and self-publishing. So you can go direct to consumers. And if you have enough viewers in that world, you can then go into more traditional publishing if you want. You can sell your rights. And it's really interesting how some of the biggest authors in the world that we all know, like Colleen Hoover, ends with us. She was a self-published author. She started exactly like everybody in the community. Started writing for her co-workers, started writing in a community, and then became, a multi-billion dollar empire of books. And people who wrote other genres as well. Some books that get translated into movies and become Oscar winners are independently written books. So there has been a huge disruption where you can sell direct to Amazon without needing to go through all these doors that used to be closed to most people. So it's we're living in interesting times for the industry.
And even AI, with AI coming in, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more difficult as well.
So that's a really interesting other can of worms, because Amazon, for example, if they find out there's AI in your book, you will be deplatformed.
Oh, wow.
And it's like straight away, no questions asked, you won't be able to publish anymore. So there is a very strong stance there. But there's also controversy within the industry itself with the use of AI by publishers in different regards. There's currently lawsuits happening in the US around ChatGPT using books without consent from the authors to train AI models, and authors trying to retrieve that IP back, because one of the reasons why ChatGPT can write in certain ways is because that is taken from people's work. So this is an ongoing battle, and it's a very hot topic within the industry. There are, of course, authors that are not opposed to AI, but there are more voices that are actually saying we could use AI for marketing, for example, for processes, for business, things that will be a lot easier, but not necessarily for books. And it seems like that's still the preference from the platforms and from the readers. So there's a lot of controversy in terms of prizes being taken away from authors who are accused of using AI.
Oh my gosh.
So that's currently the sentiment in the industry.
I do think though, no matter what, because obviously we use ChatGPT, but I use it for to get some ideas, to kind of quicken the process, but then you have to go in and put your personal spins on it. You have to go in and change it so it's your voice. I use it for ideas, but then you can tell if someone's just using a ChatGPT whatever, even social caption, and you can tell if someone's written it.
As linguists, we can tell.
Yeah.
So it's never fooling anybody.
Yeah.
No, one of the really interesting things that I learned in the last few months is I'm obviously back in academia, back to being a student.
Yeah.
And there wasn't AI when I was a student before. And so the guidelines around AI was something that really fascinated me as, a millennial who didn't grow up with this. And I think it's actually really interesting how universities are developing this policy, which I think will probably end up applying to workplaces and everything else, which is you cannot copy and paste straight out of AI into anything you're going to submit and take credit for.
Agreed.
You can use AI for ideation. You can use AI for some research if you've got control over the data set that it's being fed to ensure, that it's correct. But you can't copy paste it and consider it to be your own work.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good policy.
I think it's good. And I actually
so.
find it like annoying when people send me something copy and paste it out of, I'm like, I see the long dash. I know that's ChatGPT. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know why the dash is a big thing?
Why?
Because one of the training models is the Bible.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding. It's actually really funny. It's because that's one of the free IP books that they can use.
Oh, wow.
So the more models they have that have natural sounding language, the better we'll get. But a lot of authors don't want that. So for obvious reasons, because you also don't want your work to be copied, and there's a lot of concerns about people then taking what's been put into a model and then publishing it for free. And so that's another thing that we're currently going to be discussing as authors and publishers. Is copyright. Copyright's a big thing. With some of these technologies, people could literally extract your whole book, put it up for sale as if they're you, and collect royalties.
Oh, wow.
So it's quite complicated. And so there are different initiatives around the world, and Saudi's particularly good at copywriting things. Here the IP authority is open, and people need to get in touch if they feel like their copyright's been taken off of them. But it's really important as a creative to make sure you've got the copyright over everything you put out. Make sure that you understand ethical use, and I think it's a really good debate, and it's not going to go anywhere.
It's only going to get worse.
And I think a lot of the creative communities are having guest speakers who are lawyers, which used to never happen.
Wow.
Well, I think in my head, I knew that was a crossover because lawyers do so much writing.
Yeah.
They do, that's like most of what being a lawyer is, correct me if I'm wrong. And so it's a very natural crossover, like going into writing as a lawyer.
Yeah,
right?
I thought when I went to work in a law firm, I'd be in court the whole day, like in the movies. Wasn't the case.
Object.
All those reports.
I definitely misunderstood what my job was going to be. But and a lot of the writing wasn't creative, I can tell you that. Although sometimes that needed to be, but there is some crossover. And I think with IP lawyers, there's a lot of crossover between creativity and IP lawyers, and I think it's a very hot topic, and we encourage our creatives and writers in the groups to know and understand what that means for their work before they put out anything into the public sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Have you experienced, I guess, like shifting gears a little bit, I think you have a very different experience because you had Saudi friends. You were in Dubai, you were in Saudi. So I guess like being in the Middle East as a woman, it doesn't seem like you've felt any kind of discomfort or anything around that. It's always felt natural, fine.
Yeah, for me, again, coming from South America, I felt safe.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think if you speak to other Brazilians, there's a huge Brazilian community now in Saudi. We feel very safe here.
Yes.
And safety is our kryptonite in South America, unfortunately, for various reasons. And some,
like because you feel unsafe there.
Yeah, we feel unsafe in South America, but there's a lot more violence and more danger, even though it's a beautiful place. So for us being here, like, this is the word that will always be uttered by every Brazilian, is like, it's safe here.
Yeah.
And it's great for us. So I think for me, like, I always come from that perspective of I understand what it's like to be afraid to walk out, and to have to constantly watch your back and all this kind of stuff. So for me, just being in a safe environment is really like, it removes a lot of the tension and stress.
Yeah.
So I think it's been pretty positive.
Yeah. Back in Canada, I was friends with someone in the gaming industry, and it was quite common for them to travel to Brazil.
Yeah.
And it was also quite common for them to be taken hostage. Like,
Sadly, it happens.
yeah.
It's a lot better than it used to be
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So maybe I have a bit of trauma there. But it still is like, you know, you've got to be careful with your phone constantly.
Yeah.
And as a woman one of the things that I was not aware of growing up, and then I became very aware of it when I moved to the US, the UK, and even more so in the Middle East, is that I am allowed to have personal boundaries. Whereas again, there is an expectation there of like, you know, people are very touchy and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I can say no and I can take a step back. And I really respect that here, that people will respect that boundary if you don't want to have physical contact. And I really like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's just something that I've learned in Saudi.
Yeah.
That I can,
Yeah.
I'm okay with just, you know, a nice polite wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So your experience here has been good. I mean, that's what it sounds like. And that's what ours has been as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's a misconception.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I feel like when we say that it feels safe though, Saudis can take it wrong as well, like because they know it's a safe place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, what, did you not think it was safe? No, we did think it was safe, but it's kind of like we're coming from a place that
we appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Like it's more of a standout for us.
Yeah,
you know,
it's definitely like for me, I had no preconceptions that were negative because I got the most beautiful impressions of Saudi given by the Saudi study abroad students who were my friends.
Yeah.
And I think that program was such an incredible mark because it showed the world, you know, that there are some really brilliant individuals who were great ambassadors for the country.
Yeah.
And that's I've said that before, that it's something that will always stay with me, was the fact that, you know, when I was at uni, not being from London, I felt very welcomed into a community that just embraced me and was, you know, just lovely.
Yeah.
and I
Really
love
nice.
hearing these kinds of things because there are so many misconceptions around Saudi.
Yeah.
When you're moving from abroad, so people get so confused and don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I think and I think it's always like nerve-wracking, right, to move. But I think I've been my experience has been different and particularly lucky because of that. Because I moved to a place where I had loads of friends who you know had already taught me a lot about these, you know, the different facets of what the culture was. And I think I came from a place of real appreciation of, you know, I want to come and explore and go around and do some tourism. And, you know, it was very interesting. And I had a chance to do that before moving here. I had already been to Saudi a couple of times. So I got to see some beautiful artifacts in some areas that at the time were just kind of opening up for tourism. And so it was really, really cool. Yeah.
So when the opportunity came, you were ready.
Yeah, I was ready. Exactly. Because I knew what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
So is this kind of where you're seeing as home for the near future, like Riyadh?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we're quite happy here. We didn't come with like a plan of how long we wanted to stay, which is a question that a lot of expats usually have in their mind, is like, how long do you want to stay? My husband and I are both chronic expats. We don't really, you know, plan when we're going to go anywhere. We just kind of like go with the flow. And it just happens that we stay. He's been in the Middle East for longer than I have. We met in the Middle East, so he's been here for 14 years.
Yeah.
So we just kind of both packed our bags in where we were living before and came with all our stuff. So I have all my stuff here that I've had since uni.
Yeah.
Like if you go to my house, which now has to be like a museum of things at this point, I've got all the stuff I've brought from travels since uni. I've got like, you know, everything with me because
It's
we
full of
really
memories.
moved. Yeah, we moved with all our stuff. Like everything is here. So, you know, it is, we don't really have an expiry date of being here. We're enjoying every moment of it and every opportunity that comes our way. And I think I'm really grateful to all the things that have happened, like the book launch. I'm really excited for what's going to happen soon, which I hopefully will be able to set up my publishing house here, which is currently set up in the US. So there's loads of things that we want to do here because we believe that it's a great place to be.
Yeah.
And I think with some of these initiatives, it's really, you know, I'm very passionate with my publishing house to, for example, make sure that some of the works that are translated from Arabic to English do get into the international marketplace so that we have representation of different voices in literature. And those are people's own voices talking about their own identity or their own cultures. And I that's really important for me. So And I feel that as a Brazilian, for example, of some indigenous descent, and we're all very mixed in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's something that I can relate to a lot of times, is that, I also want my voice to be the voice that talks about some of our issues in Brazil, So I try to give that same opportunity for other people. And I think that, hopefully all this comes together in Saudi. It's a great place to do so.
Yeah. On the publishing, so you have your own publishing house.
Yes.
And it's based in the US?
Yes, so it's registered in the US for a variety of reasons, but it's mostly because it's the biggest book market in the world.
Yeah.
But we do get loads of inquiries from authors from Saudi and from the region, not just Saudi authors, who want to distribute into the US or want to translate their works.
Yeah. And did that come about because you wrote your book and you kind of saw what the publishing process was like, or how did that?
Yes. So it was, I started doing research into, like, after all the craft and everything else, you still need to put the book out there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I found an absolute scandal, and this is like a really hot take, is that the traditional publishing market internationally, and I'm talking about like US, UK, the big hubs for publishing, they pay authors about 6 to 9% on the royalties of every sale of the book.
Oh, wow.
So you do all the work and you get about 6 to 8% of what you sell.
Wow.
So let that sink in.
That's a hard pill to swallow, right?
It is tough. And when you compound that with the fact that out of all the books published, there's millions of books published, only 1% sell more than 100 copies. It's, you're basically writing for free for the hobby of it. That was how it was. So these are stats that, are public and people can look into them. And some people will debate the 100 book one, but it's come out of a commission report on publishing in the US during a massive merger. So there's some sense to that. And like for you to be a bestseller, you basically only need to sell in some categories 70 books, 100 books. This is all, again, you can actually find this on Amazon, how many books you need to sell in each category to be a bestseller.
Wow.
If you're in a niche
That's
category,
crazy.
you need to sell 70 books. If you're in a very high demand category, then you need to sell 1,000, 2,000 books, which is still not that many
Not
books.
that many when you think about it. I was thinking 50,000
People
books,
always think that,
like you
so-
assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like that. And then on top of that, if you consider how much a book costs, which paperback average probably 10 to 15 US dollars, and you're making 8% of that on a good contract, after you've waited 4 to 5 years for your book to be published. And if you're not a celebrity doing a biography, or you don't have any real salacious scandal to sell, you're like a debut author, you're not a priority for marketing. So you're going to be still doing all the marketing work yourself and all the social media work. Maybe they'll put you in a panel or something, but it's not really, you're not going to be the star of the show. Like you're not going to be Prince Harry selling, the Spare.
No.
So it's all of these things came into the equation. And the more I looked at it, I was like, this is actually insane. So what I decided to do is I consulted with someone who's been in the industry for a very long time, who became kind of a silent partner in my publishing business, who is put out more than 30 books.
Yeah.
And we decided we're going to do something a lot more ethical. We do want people to publish, but we want people to have proper margins, not to exploit an author who's put tons of work into this.
Yeah.
And we could still make money off of that without creating this absolute toxic environment.
Yeah.
And the reason why that works is because a lot of people still do not want to self-publish. You have restrictions with self-publishing. You can absolutely make tons of money in self-publishing, but there's certain physical bookstores that won't buy your books if you're a self-published author. So if you want to get into Barnes & Noble or Waterstones in the UK or traditional bookshops, they will not buy self-published books, unfortunately. If you're only interested on Amazon and you're like Kindle Unlimited, and there's people who put out 30 books a year, make a ton of money in there and they don't really care. Self-publishing is a great way to go. And there's different strategies around it. So there's like the self-release, the fast release authors who put out those 30 books per year, and usually they're in the romance genre, short books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People like whiz through them and it is what it is. So there's all these different strategies you can take. So I decided to take this road because I thought I could, if I could do it with my book, let's test this out. Let's see how it works. If it goes well, then I can offer this service to other people and charge a fair wage, basically, where I'm making something, but they're also making something. And I'm using these techniques, I guess, that I've learned along the process. And in particular, when it comes to marketing, social media, and those areas, I think there's a lot that you can learn. I mean, speaking to social media people, that you can learn and you can do well and probably do better than some of these traditional publishers that don't really have a presence, but still make all the money.
Yeah.
So
That actually blows my mind because that would make me so angry. Like, because you want to be in those bookstores, maybe if you've worked on this book for a long time, like you maybe don't want to be just on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then, like I can't think of, Waterstones doing amazing social media marketing campaigns, like how people are going to find out about it. And then, as you said, they're probably not going to do it for your book anyway. So it's like, you have to do it all yourself. And
so at that point, you're like, why am I giving commission?
Yeah.
And a lot of the people in the new generation. So one of the really cool things that's happened is Gen Z reads books much more than millennials did. And the generation after that, the alphas also read books. But they're getting their book recommendations on TikTok. So BookTok is the
huge.
biggest thing. Well, book and book grammars is as well are big, but it's book grammars. Book Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Book grammars.
doesn't roll off the tongue as well as BookTok.
No, BookTok, it feels a bit better. But yeah, BookTok is really huge.
Yes.
So books go viral because they go viral on TikTok. That's essentially the platform for authors.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work because you've got to be creative with it. You've got to, do all these things. What's really interesting is there's been that huge spike in books, and now what's selling well at Waterstones is what's selling well on BookTok. So that's also changed a little bit the game, and it will change as these trends come in and out. But I think we are in the era of BookTok, and that is the author's individual work. And again, Colleen Hoover, biggest author in terms of best-selling books. Not my favorite genre, but it is really, really doing well worldwide. Yeah. She was self-published for about 15 books before she got a traditional deal.
Wow.
And there is a strategy in that as well, because you are negotiating a whole different contract if you go to a traditional publisher with 15 published books that have been read by millions of people.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
So there is a strategy in that, and there is a genius in that, because I'm sure her contract is not 8%.
Yeah.
So and she's also got the royalties for her movies and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a really complex world, and you've got to be business savvy to make it. Otherwise, you're writing for free.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. It's such a crazy world. It's like, I feel like you've shed so much light.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But yeah, I buy books based on interviews in podcasts with the authors or TikTok.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it is that like that for a lot of people. I think, like, for example, I've invested a lot in I've got a video editor now, and I've got I put a lot of money into graphics and things like that, because my books are, there's salacious scenes.
Yeah.
There are loads of scenes that are like related to these high-powered conversations and encounters between people and fights, and I've been described as Sex in the City with crime on the side. So there's all that, and it just lends itself well to some of these moments with the quotes and like the character interactions. So I keep trying to do that, but it also takes up a lot of time. So. At some point, I'm sure I'll have to hire someone just to do that, so I can concentrate on the writing. But it is how people find out, and of course the community. I can't understate how important it is to have a supportive community, who want to know what happens next and
Totally
keep writing in, asking about the characters.
Oh my gosh.
More excited. I feel like I need to get your
I
book
need
now.
to read it. So when is the Writers Conference that you're co-founding? When is that happening?
So it's on the 6th and 7th of February.
Oh, it's coming up. Oh
coming
my gosh,
up.
it's a busy time for you.
Yeah, very busy. It's 2 days over a weekend, and it's a chance for people to be kind of sequestered for 2 days and go through all of these things we talked about.
Yeah.
From publishing to craft to ethics to everything else, marketing.
Yeah.
We are going to have some social media focused sessions, because that's something we get asked a lot. So there will be an author explaining how to go viral with your books and all that kind of stuff that everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
There will be like a general marketing 101 from a traditional publisher point of view. So we are actually mix and matching. So we've got traditional publishers and indie publishers and self-published authors.
Wow.
So you'll get all perspectives. And there's, as you can tell, there's a lot to think about. So if anyone's interested in any aspect of writing, we even get journalists asking, can I come along while I learn something? Absolutely, because there's a section that's purely craft and just navigating current world events, through writing and things like that. So there is a bit for everybody. But it's very exciting. It's at the British School, so it's at Bisser Al Waha.
Yeah.
And there's a mixer for creatives and writers at Beast House as well, just before.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good.
That's so exciting.
Well,
Yeah, we're really excited. There's people flying in from Canada for this. There's some guest speakers from Canada. There's some speakers from US.
Yeah.
Speakers from Indonesia.
Wow.
Australia. Holland, some local speakers from Saudi.
Yeah.
So it's a real mixed bag. So you'll get so many different perspectives and people who've published all over the world. So it's, it'll be different from different countries, of course. So you'll get to hear what different authors are going through.
I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Thank you very much.
Wishing you all the success.
Yeah. So if people want to follow you, are you on social media?
Yes. So I am on social media. So my handle on Instagram is London Republic.
Okay.
Which was the name of my brand before.
Okay.
And if you've read the book, you'll know that there's a little Easter egg about it.
Love Easter eggs.
Yeah, there's loads of Easter eggs in the book that if you follow me on social media, you'll get.
Ooh.
And people are trying to figure out who are the bad guys. Because there is a disclaimer at the beginning of the book that says part of this is true.
Yeah.
And part of it is fiction. So
I love
You got to figure it out.
I want to do more Easter eggs in my life. I need to figure it out.
so you can get all of that on my account. So at London Republic, we've got the Riyadh Writers Conference Instagram as well. So you can follow everything related to the conference on that.
Yeah.
And Riyadh Writers, which is Lubna's account, which is all about the community events that happen every week on Wednesdays usually.
Wow.
Okay,
Amazing.
well, thank you so much for telling us about it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm going to go write my book now.
She's been talking about it so much about writing a book. So I feel like something is brewing there.
Get the first draft in. That's the biggest tip. Nobody ever has to see the first draft.
Yeah. Except for my husband.
My husband waited until the next draft because he's been hearing the stories for
I feel like hers will be the last because she kind of just like gives it to him at the end.
And I definitely did the same because by the time I wanted him to see like the finished product. And then he started reading it and then he opens and the dedication is for him and he got a bit teary-eyed.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.